அங்கன்மாஞாலத்தரசர் அபிமான பங்கமாய் வந்து நின் பழி காட்டிற்கீழே சங்கம் இருப்பார்போல் வந்து தலை பேதோம் கிங்கிணி வாய் செய்த தாமரை பூ போலே செங்கன் சிறு சிறுதே எம்மேல் விழியாவோ திங்களும் ஆதித்யனும் எழுந்தாற்போல் அங்கன் இரண்டும் கொந்தெங்கள் மேல் நோக்குதியேல் எங்கள் மேல் சாபம் இழுந்தேலோரெம்பாவாய். Andal, along with the other gopis and Nappinne, see Krishna open his eyes, and she asks him to show his glance on them to bless them. Andal compares herself and the other gopis to certain kings. She describes those kings as Anganma Nyalathu Arasar, kings of the big, beautiful world. She describes the kings in this way to say that it is natural for them, given that they rule the whole world, to think that they have svatantriyam, independence. But then she describes them as abhimana bhangamai vandu. They come to you after destroying their pride. An example of such a king is Paundraka. He was a king in Bangladesh at the time of Krishna, and his last name was Vasudeva, just like Krishna, because his father also happened to be named Vasudeva. And certain nefarious people like the king of Kashi managed to convince him that because his last name was Vasudeva, that he was the real Vishnu and that Krishna was an impostor. So he declared war on Krishna, and he sent a letter to Krishna demanding that Krishna return to him the Sangha and Chakram and all his weapons. In the course of the war, Krishna said, "You wanted these weapons? Here they are." And he threw them at Paundraka. And because Paundraka lost his life from the touch of Sriman Narayana's weapons, he attained moksha. He went straight to Paramapadam, where he became a servant of Sriman Narayana. Another example of such a king is a very different example, Kulasekara Alvar. He was the emperor of the Chera Empire, and so he had every reason to have the pride in thinking that he is independent of Sriman Narayana. But despite that, he had the complete understanding that he is a Paratantram, that he is dependent on Sriman Narayana, to the point where he desired lowly births like being born as the threshold of the Tirupati Garbhagraham so that Sriman Narayana's devotees would step on him. He had a clear understanding of what is said in the song Kallai Mattum from the movie Dasavataram. நாட்டில் உண்டு ஆயிரம் ராஜராஜர்தான் ராஜனுக்கு ராஜன் இந்த ரங்கராஜன் தான். In this country there are 1,000 kings named Rajaraja, like Rajaraja Cholan, but the king of all kings is Ranganatha alone. Then she describes those kings as Nin Palikattir Kire. They are assembled under your bed because they have an unshakable understanding of their Seshatvam, the fact that they are a servant of Sriman Narayana, so that even if they were offered their kingdom again, still they wouldn't accept it. The demon Ravana once visited Mahabali's palace in Sutalaloka, one of the Patalalokas, the underworlds. And he saw that Mahabali's palace was being guarded by Vamana. So he went to Mahabali and offered, "Let me free you from your imprisonment." But Mahabali laughed and he said, I am not imprisoned, Vamana is protecting me, then he showed Ravana a giant earring and challenged Ravana to lift it. Ravana, with all his might, could not lift that earring. And then Mahabali said, that earring belonged to my great-grandfather Hiranyakashipu. If you cannot even lift my great-grandfather's earring, how can you ever hope to defeat Sriman Narayana, who defeated my great-grandfather himself? That is the kind of unshakable knowledge Mahabali had acquired of his own Seshatvam, his own servantship to Sriman Narayana. And that is why Andal is comparing herself and the other gopis to those kings, because unlike those kings who had to take time to realize that they are dependent on Sriman Narayana, the gopis realized that fact immediately. There are two qualifications for Sharanagati. Akinchanyam or helplessness, and Ananyagatitvam or lack of other refuge. Some people take a while to realize their helplessness because they think they are capable of attaining moksha on their own through Bhakti Yoga. But Andal and the gopis, through the very nature of their birth, know that they are incapable of attaining moksha on their own. That is why they are immediately willing to do Sharanagati to obtain Kainkaryam both in this life and in moksha.